the paradox of feeling off. What if the discomfort you're feeling is not a problem to fix, but proof that something within you is upgrading? What if the confusion, the sensitivity, the sense that you no longer fit into your old life isn't a breakdown, but a breakthrough? Because when consciousness expands, it rarely announces itself with clarity. It arrives first as unease, as dissonance, as a quiet inner knowing that whispers, "You are not the same anymore." If you've been feeling different lately, not better, not worse, just different, this message may be confirming something your soul already knows. You're not drifting, you're ascending when life starts to feel strangely unfamiliar. For many people, awakening doesn't begin with light. It begins with disorientation. You wake up one day and notice that the world feels slightly out of tune. Conversations that once entertained you now feel empty. Goals you once chased no longer excite you. Noise that once faded into the background now feels overwhelming. You may find yourself asking, why don't I enjoy the things I used to? Why do I feel more sensitive? Why do I crave silence more than stimulation? Why do certain environments suddenly drain me? This phase can feel lonely because you're changing internally while the outer world expects you to remain the same. And so you start to wonder, is something wrong with me? But here's the truth most people don't hear. When your frequency rises, your tolerance for misalignment decreases. What once felt normal now feels heavy. What once felt exciting now feels hollow. Not because you're losing interest in life, but because you're outgrowing a lower level of consciousness. What higher frequency really means. Let's clear something up. Higher frequency doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean constant happiness. And it doesn't mean you've figured everything out. A higher frequency simply means you're becoming more aware of your thoughts, more aware of your emotions, more aware of energy, both yours and others. In psychology, this is called heightened self-awareness. In neuroscience, it's linked to greater activity in regions responsible for empathy, intuition, and reflection. In spirituality, it's called awakening. Different languages, same shift. You're no longer operating on autopilot. You're no longer numbing yourself through distraction. You're beginning to feel life more deeply. And that changes everything. Sign number 1. You feel more sensitive, but also more alive. One of the first signs of entering a higher frequency is emotional sensitivity. You feel things more intensely. Music moves you more deeply. Nature feels more alive. Cruelty affects you more strongly. Beauty brings tears to your eyes. At the same time, chaos feels unbearable. Harsh energy feels exhausting. Superficial interactions feel draining. This isn't a weakness, it's refinement. Think of your nervous system like an instrument. As it becomes more finely tuned, it can no longer tolerate discordant notes. You are becoming more responsive to subtlety, more attuned to truth, more aligned with authenticity. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. It's a signal that your awareness is expanding. Sign number 2. You need more solitude. You may notice a growing desire to be alone, not from sadness, not from isolation, but from a deep need to reset. Crowds drain you faster. Small talk feels heavy. You crave quiet walks, still mornings, silent evenings. Solitude becomes nourishment. This is because higher frequency requires integration. Your mind and body need space to process what your consciousness is absorbing. Just like muscles grow in rest, awareness expands in stillness. Silence is not emptiness. It's the space where insight lands. When you choose solitude, you're not disconnecting from the world. You're reconnecting with yourself. Sign number 3. Old identities begin to fall away. Another sign of frequency shift is identity shedding. You start realizing, this role doesn't feel like me anymore. This version of myself feels outdated. I've been living according to expectations that aren't mine. You may feel like you're losing yourself, but what's really happening is that the false layers are dissolving. The people pleaser, the achiever, the one who stayed quiet to be accepted, the one who lived small to stay safe. Carl Jung described this as the collapse of the persona, the mask we wear to survive society. As awareness rises, the mask becomes too heavy to carry, so it cracks, and beneath it, your authentic self begins to breathe. Sign number 4. You can't ignore your intuition anymore. At lower frequencies, intuition whispers. At higher frequencies, it becomes impossible to ignore. You feel it in your body, a tightening when something is wrong, a calm expansion when something is right, a quiet knowing before your mind has proof. You begin trusting your gut more than opinions, more than logic alone, more than external validation. This isn't irrational. It's integrated intelligence. Your subconscious processes millions of data points your conscious mind cannot. Your intuition is not guessing. It's recognizing patterns before your thoughts catch up. As your frequency rises, this inner guidance becomes clearer, faster, stronger. You're no longer walking blindly. You're being led from within. Sign number 5. Emotional releases come in waves. Higher frequency doesn't mean bypassing pain. It means processing it. You may notice waves of emotion seemingly coming out of nowhere. Tears without a clear story. Grief for things you can't name. Sudden relief. Sudden heaviness. Sudden clarity. This is energetic release. Your system is letting go of stored emotions, old trauma, inherited patterns. Think of it like cleaning out a house that hasn't been touched in years. Dust rises before the space clears. You're not regressing. You're detoxing. Every release creates room for more peace, more clarity, more light. Sign number 6. You feel disconnected from chaos. As your frequency rises, you may feel strangely detached from drama. News feels overwhelming. Arguments feel pointless. Constant outrage feels exhausting. You still care, but you no longer want to live in reaction. This isn't apathy. It's perspective. You're moving from the storm to the sky that observes the storm. You stop feeding chaos with your energy and start protecting your inner state. This is maturity of consciousness. You're learning that peace is not something you find. It's something you maintain. Sign number 7. Your desires change. What you want begins to shift, not toward more, but toward truer. You crave depth over intensity, meaning over noise, connection over validation, alignment over achievement. Success without peace no longer feels like success. You begin asking different questions. Does this nourish me? Does this align with who I'm becoming? Does this feel honest? Your values evolve because your awareness has evolved. You're no longer chasing what looks good. You're choosing what feels right. The metaphor of the frequency shift. Imagine an old radio. At first, the signal is static, crackling, unclear. As you slowly turn the dial, the noise increases. Then, suddenly, clarity. Music emerges. The signal stabilizes. everything clicks into place. That static phase, that confusion, that discomfort, that's you tuning into a higher frequency. You're not broken, you're adjusting. And once the signal locks in, life begins to flow differently. The reframe. This is not a crisis. Here's the reframe that changes everything. You are not going through a crisis. You are going through a calibration. Your system is upgrading to hold more awareness, more truth, more alignment. Instead of asking, why do I feel like this? Try asking, what is this preparing me for? What is trying to emerge? What no longer fits? When you stop resisting the shift, it becomes gentler. When you trust the process, it becomes clearer. What life looks like at a higher frequency. As you stabilize at this new level, life begins to change, quietly but powerfully. You respond instead of react. You listen instead of rush. You choose instead of chase. Synchronicities increase. Boundaries strengthen. Clarity sharpens. You feel guided, not because life is perfect, but because you are aligned. Challenges still come, but they no longer define you. You move through life with a deeper sense of trust. You begin living from the inside out. You're not imagining this. If you recognize yourself in this message, know this. You are not imagining the shift. You are not too sensitive. You are not losing your way. You are waking up. Your frequency is rising. Your awareness is expanding. Your life is realigning. This phase may feel unfamiliar, but it is sacred. So be gentle with yourself. Protect your energy. Honor your intuition. Allow the process. You're not becoming someone else. You're becoming who you've always been without the noise. And if this message resonated with you, take a slow breath. Place your hand over your heart and gently like and subscribe. Not for the algorithm, but for your own alignment, your own clarity, your own awakening. Your journey is unfolding, and you are exactly where you need to be.